So we realize that we've probably been speaking a lot of gibberish to you guys, but we have so much information, and in this video we're going to cover some good vocab words for you.
So I just want to know why that every time we do this, that you forget to actually welcome them to our video.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Bruce and Josh Show. So Bruce, what's inflation?
So inflation by definition generally would be where there's literally like too much cash flow into the economy, which is typically a governmental type of issue. I mean, it obviously can stem from, many other type of things, war or just a general undermining of the government, etc. But in general, there's too much cash flow. And so when the cash flow is high and everybody's hoarding cash, then products, can inflate in value. A loaf of bread goes from being $2, $3, $4 at this point. I don't know. I don't buy a lot of bread, but to being $10.
Well, houses are products too, right?
But houses are products too. That's right. Thanks for bringing us back to what our basic meanings are. Does inflation make a difference in housing prices? Theoretically, yes, because obviously if there's more cash flow out there and the loaf of bread is rising in price and the pack of M&Ms is rising in price and a flight on an airline is raising in price, then obviously rising tide raises all ships, and in this case, not in a positive way. But what's happening right now is not an inflation issue. It's a supply and demand type of issue. And so as, buyers decide whether or not they're going to move forward with the current amount of supply or if they're just going to figure out how to hang tight. If you want to hear more about this topic, just check out our last video. So Josh, what is a housing bubble?
So a housing bubble is basically when an external factor comes in and inflates prices on houses to be worth what they're actually not. If you want to hear more about that, click the link above. Hey Bruce, what does real estate investing mean?
Well, to me, real estate investing means investing in your own future, based on the fact that in general, real estate trajectory has been definitely a due north line at almost a 90-degree angle since the 1950s or so in this country. So if you invest in property today, it is absolutely 100% the greatest creator of wealth throughout your lifetime. So you invest in a property now, say you're lucky enough to be in your 20s, you invest in a property, you figure out how to do that. Some down payment, it's your first house. I don't care how much of it you have to finance because you have plenty of time to pay it off. So you invest in something in your 20s, and by the time that you are in your 60s, certainly your 70s, but probably more late 50s into your 60s, this house is now not only paid off, but it's worth 3-4 times what you paid for it when you were in your 20s.
So stay tuned for a later episode on investing in real estate. So as is the buyer comes in up front and presents their offer, and they're saying that they're going to initially take the house in an as-is condition based on the findings of their inspections. And with their inspections, they will come back, and if there's anything major going on, they'll then present the discussion to the seller. The problem is when sellers hear as is, they think, oh great, the buyer is going to take my house, absolutely nothing done to it. But buyers sometimes will have an issue with that because if there is anything major going on, well, like in Florida, if they come in on an as-is contract and the AC is broken, well, nobody's going to buy a house in Florida with the AC broken, so they might expect the AC to be fixed.
But let me interrupt you there. And so, if say the house is listed at X, I'll throw out a number. House is listed at $300,000, but there's an AC that's broken, or there's termite damage, but none of that was known up front. Seller didn't know it to disclose it, buyer didn't know it, it just wasn't visible. So we come back after inspections, buyer said, I'll buy your house as is, meaning whatever was wrong on the day I went and looked at the house, I'll buy it as is. Seller saw this offer and said, so I want 300, but you're offering me 280, and I'll buy it as is. But I want to inspect. So seller now has heard, whatever's wrong with it, I'll buy it for 280. Buyer has heard, I'll buy it for 280, but if there's something wrong with it, we can still talk about that. And so that's the disconnect between as is from a buyer perspective and as is from a seller perspective.
As always, remember to like this video, comment if you have any questions, or if you just want to learn more. Subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. See y'all next week.